Hello and welcome to Songwriting Tips with Wilson. That's me. Today I want to talk about one thing that most people don't know about music and songwriting and just the industry in general. And that's that big songwriters, especially the ones you know and love, who have written multiple platinum, gold hits. What people don't know about them is that they really do use a formula when they're writing songs. And that might sound sad, but the research shows that there are key elements that if you add these elements to the song, it is much more likely to do well and become a hit song. And this has been researched by Harvard Neuroscience, Bristol University, tons of independent research institutes, and there's a ton of overlap in the data that they've found of what key elements are added to a hit song. So of course, big-time songwriters are going to want to know this information and use this information. So if you're somebody who writes songs or just somebody who loves music, maybe this info can help you listen to or write songs a little bit differently, and maybe it can help your song get elevated to the next level to be listened to and liked by more people. So the first key element that I want to talk about is what time does that first chorus hit? And there's a ton of research that shows that 30 seconds is the optimal time for that first chorus to start. And that's because you've already done some building up, some storytelling, some instrumental building, so it's not too early. And you've done some groundwork, but it's not too late where people are getting bored and they're hitting skip in the TikTok and Spotify playlist world of today, which is so easy to do, is to skip a song if it's not getting to the good part soon enough. This used to be closer to the 50-second mark where the chorus would hit, and that's kind of in the more traditional radio world. But in today's world, the research shows that people are not willing to listen to this song all the way up to that almost minute mark if it's not getting good, if it's not hitting that chorus soon enough. So 30 seconds would be a great time for you to start your next chorus. The next super important factor from the research is BPM, and that would be beats per minute. So how fast or how slow is your song? Well, if you want a song that's really dancey or jumpy, easy to move around to, the research shows that 130 BPM is the best tempo to be at, give or take a few. You can be somewhere around there. And that's because that is the natural jumping tempo for people. If you get too much faster or too much slower than that, it becomes uncomfortable to jump around to. So if you're looking for an upbeat, really kind of get people off their feet kind of song, you might want to try 130 BPM for your song. A third major factor that the research shows is super important is to make sure that that first note of the chorus is exciting. It's high. It's the highest point of the song thus far. So that means that none of the notes in the vocal melody in the verse should be higher than that first note of the chorus. And that's just going to make it come in a lot more energetically and make it a lot more exciting than if you had a high verse and all of a sudden it drops off at the chorus. You don't want that. You want your chorus to feel strong and to feel energetic and like it's hitting on a high point. So make that first note the highest of the song thus far. Another element that shows up consistently in the research, and I think maybe this is even the most important one, is to keep a simple chord structure and a simple chorus melody. So that means that make it something that people can follow along to. A lot of hit songs have only 4 chords that just repeat. Now you can add a couple other chords and spice it up if you want to, but you don't have to. It doesn't have to be complex. Simple, easy to follow chord structures and vocal melodies do very well. And when I say vocal melodies that are simple, I mean that they follow a cadence, that you have an A, B, A chorus. So you do the same thing, 2 stanzas in a row, hit something new, and then come back to that initial part. Something like that. Or you could go A, B, C. Just something that's patterned and easy to follow for the listener so that they don't have to think too much about what's going on in the music and get lost trying to follow along. So keep it simple, and that goes a long way. This next element gets a little bit nerdy and kind of deep into the rhythm of when the vocals come in, but I love it, and I think this is the kind of thing that actually is super practical and adds a ton to the song. I've been using this in my writing recently, and I've been really surprised at how much it's helped. So what the research shows is that you should not have 2 sections of the song consecutively where the vocals come in on the same beat. So let's say you have a pre-chorus, the vocals come in right on beat 1 of that pre-chorus. That means that in the chorus that comes following that, you should not start the vocals also on beat 1. It needs to change it up a little bit. So maybe if your pre-chorus starts on beat 1, your chorus should start on the 1 and. just to make it a little bit different, adds that interesting element. It's a simple change that you can make, but once again, down to simplicity. It doesn't have to be super complex. Just changing a simple thing like starting on the next beat for your melody makes a huge difference. So don't have a verse, pre-chorus, and chorus that all start on beat one right after each other. It gets a little bit boring. So change up when that comes in, and I think you're gonna see some great results from that. And finally, another thing I found interesting in the research is the amount of musical elements that are going on in the song. And what the research shows is that usually there's not more than 3 or 4 musical elements going on in a hit song at once, but not more than 5. 3 or 4 is better, but not more than 5. I've fallen victim many times to just adding a ton of stuff to my songs. I've got an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar, and then a lead guitar picking, and a piano, and drums, and vocal layers, and maybe there's an organ, and all this stuff going on. But the research shows that hit songs really only have 3 or 4 musical elements at once. And that's because it gets distracting. When you have too many things going on, the listener's ear doesn't know where to go. But if you keep it super focused and just have a few really good things going on, just 3 or 4 really good musical elements, it's much more likely to become a hit song. There you have it. That's some of the research on how to write a hit song. I hope that helps you with your next song that you're writing. Please like and subscribe and come back to hear more tips and tricks on your songwriting.